Hello everyone,
Oh, yeah, that'll be what we need to have in the race line.
Okay, so I'll just give you a quick background on the genesis of the Growing Data Foundation. The Growing Data Foundation grew out of an open data competition that the South Australian Government runs called, well, it is now called the GovHack, in line with the national and international GovHack program. The GovHack's really about governments and other organisations releasing open data sets to drive innovation. So people can build apps based on merging of open data sets. So we've had a couple of examples of what can happen when you can start looking at these big data sets and the sort of innovation that comes out of it. There's already been some good examples this morning. So why open data? I'm from government as well. The Growing Data Foundation is a volunteer run organisation. We're not professional in that field, where we have our own specialities, our own expertise. I'm from government, and I've been involved with trying to get government to release open data for years now, going on 10 years, all the way back through to the Government Information Licensing Framework about 10 years ago. Now, the question, why open data? The real question is why not? Why are you holding your data, especially governments? Why are they holding their data? It's data that the community's already paid for through their taxation system. We really need to encourage governments, and I hope we include all of us here today, to release more open data sets, because the value that comes out of the open data is far more than commercialising the data and licensing it in a restricted manner. So Jay Weatherall's has a open data by default policy, so I encourage you all to look into what the government's doing. There's a website we'll share later on. It's called data.sa.gov.au, and that's a great collection of all the open data sets that we've got released from government. Not just governments who can benefit, of course. Corporations are now moving towards releasing some of their own data sets for research purposes under different sorts of licenses. So what we'll do now is go through to the next slide, Leo. Open data is part of the suite. So at the base we have things like open hardware. Open hardware is a concept that people design hardware and release that design so that other people can reuse those plans, those schematics. Open software is something you're probably all aware of. Most of the internet runs on open software, open source software. So that's really software that's built collaboratively and openly. So there's a number of benefits from that. The first one being it's free to use. The second one is that it's quite easy to patch software, and you know that there's nothing sinister going on with the software as far as where the data's going, who controls all that. Open government and corporations, with the idea of open democracy and better participation in government is key to this. And at the bottom we have the open data. So the idea, open data is the idea that data should be freely available for everyone to use and republish it as they wish without restrictions from copyright, patents or other mechanisms of control. The license that most of open data is released under is called Creative Commons. So I encourage you to go to the Creative Commons Australia website to look at what sort of license you can release your data in. Now I'm thinking about data collected by students, for example. So that if you decide that not only are you going to do a data collection exercise, you're also going to release that to the community as well. Because innovation really comes from unexpected sources. And the idea that everyone releases open data is going to have a lot more benefit than just you doing your own separate little project. This is how we license data in government. So we have a very strict policy. We had some great toolkits that we can share about how we actually get to the point of releasing open data. So firstly, you identify your data, and if you need to anonymise it, you should do it at that stage then. The data sets are then standardised so that everyone is speaking the same language and converted to machine readable sets. So in other words, you can release a PDF that's under an open license, but it's not really that useful. So you need to have your data in a machine readable set. That could be an API, could be a CSV file. And then you select which license. you want to release your data underneath. On the Creative Commons website, there's actually a workflow to go through. So why release it? The data is now available for students, educators, researchers, and others to repurpose and merge and use data analytics and code to increase the data's value and lead to solutions to problems you may not know existed. Okay? So really, it's really a key driver of innovation, the release of open data. This is our concept we're working around. It's happening all over the world. So when you do your science projects, bake openness into your scientific surveys from the beginning. Collaborate regions to reduce your setup costs and aggregate data as well. So Growing Data Foundation is looking at these sorts of tools, the data collection and the data release. So we're looking at the whole spectrum. We've heard about a couple of examples of using a mobile phone. We call that computing on the edge, really. So that citizens and students become the data collectors. We're looking at that through a few projects we'll talk about later on. We're also looking at sensors to provide that data as well.